What's up, guys? This is Hank Saber from Saber Selections, and well, right off the bat, you guys probably notice something that kind of doesn't belong, and that, of course, is Slifer the Sky Dragon hanging out here in the middle, chilling. And, well, this is my Egyptian Abyss deck profile. Now, for I guess newer subscribers, you guys didn't see my previous Egyptian Abyss deck profile, which I actually deleted because of the fact that it wasn't getting many views as I thought, and I didn't like the content, didn't like my choices really in that one. But I've upgraded it, and I love the idea of running the Egyptian god cards in Burning Abyss. And so here comes my Egyptian Abyss, or as some people like to call it, Burning Gods deck profile. So let's get into the deck list. So to start off, of course, we run all three of the Egyptian god cards. Slifer the Sky Dragon, shagging the red, and of course the Winged Dragon of Ra, repping the yellow, and of course Obelisk the Tormentor, blinging the gold and blue. And so here are the three Egyptian god cards. So the reason why we run, all three is, of course, we have to run all three. Yugi did have all three at some time in his career. However, they all serve a purpose. Now, first I'm going to go into the Winged Dragon of Ra. The Winged Dragon of Ra is a very, hit or miss card, and obviously you're going to mill these guys once in a while with Dante, and there's a hard time bringing these guys back. However, the point of this is to being able to recur your Egyptian god cards as much as possible. And so, again, the Winged Dragon of Ra, you pay all your life points until you get to 100, and then it gains that amount. So, of course, you don't want to get cowboyed or anything like that. You want to be able to just, attack with this card and win the duel. And so being able to just attack over things is kind of cool, and well, it's an answer to killer, and it can win you games. And so we run the Winged Dragon of Ra for that reason. Then we go up to the slightly more relevant Slifer the Sky Dragon. Slifer the Sky Dragon will gain 1,000 life points for every card in your hand, and for a deck that gains a huge amount of advantage is very good. And so Slifer the Sky Dragon, again, is very relevant in Egyptian Abyss. It can gain a lot of attack, and of course it can't be if a monster that also loses attack, basically when it's normal special summon to your opponent's, when a monster is normal summon or special summon to your opponent's side of the field, it loses 2,000 attack, and then if it goes below 0, or goes to 0, goes below 0, it's destroyed. And so Slifer the Sky Dragon will also be good, very good at that, because if you think about Yosenju or Taylor Knights, all of them are below 2,000, and so if you get this off against Taylor Knights or Yosenju or Clyfort or something along that magnitude, again, it's destroyed, and they have a very tough time getting back. So that's Slifer the Sky Dragon. And then probably the most relevant of all three of them, we're going to go into Obelisk the Tormentor. Obelisk the Tormentor is the guy. He is a very indestructible 4,000 beat stick with, just an amazing effect of you contribute 2 monsters, which you often get off, and destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Now, that might seem hard, but we are running the Mathematicians, and so if you Mathematician Liebig and special another one from your hand, another Malebranche from your hand, it would be basically effect would be negated, so you would have 2 monsters on the field. So it's very possible to get that effect off, and so that's the reasoning for running all 3 Egyptian god cards besides the fact they just look cool. So we run all 3 of those guys. Then moving into the usual gang, we run 1 copy of Tour Guide, Main Bay, of course 3 copies of the Mathematician, and this guy is really good in the deck now. It's almost like a staple, because if you could just send Liebig special Malebranche from your hand, slightly less good of a Tour Guide, but it still works. So we run the 4, and then for the Malebranche, we run a heftier amount than I did in my previous Egyptian Abyss list. I run 3 Graph, 3 Seer, 3 Skarm, the Searcher, and of course now 3 Liebig. Then moving on to the other guys, we run 2 of the Tuner, Rubik. We run 2 copies of Farfa, And we run one copy of Calcab just to bounce back row. I don't run MST in this deck, and, well, I don't really want to. We run the one Calcab. And then, moving on to the spells, and I'm going to go into probably the two most relevant spells in the whole deck, and pretty much the spell that makes Egyptian Abyss work. And that's 2 copies of Monster Reincarnation. Now, I might bump this up to 3, but for now 2 is good. But Monster Reincarnation is actually probably the most relevant card in this deck because of the fact that you can control what's in your hand and what's not. Notice that you can also discard 1 card to add a monster to your hand, from your graveyard to your hand. Now, of course, you can discard all your Malbranches, and you can get plus with it. You can discard Graph, and you can add a milled Slifer the Sky Dragon to your hand. You can special from the deck, and then you can possibly normal summon your Winged Dragon over it. It's also really good for getting rid of dead god cards, like maybe you have a clutter of traps and maybe an Obelisk in hand that's pretty much dead. If you draw into the Monster Reincarnation, maybe you have a more relevant card in the graveyard, you can ditch the lovely Obelisk, and you can add, you know, your tour guide or your mathematician or something along those lines. And so, two Monster Reincarnation, very relevant. So please, if you're gonna try this build, please do run this card at 2 or 3. And then we run, of course, more of the other stuff. We run 1 Raigeki and 1 Book of Moon because you want outs to Djinn, but you also have traps to do that as well, so just keep that in mind. And we also run the obligatory Foolish Burial. And so moving on into the traps, so only, you know, a few spells there. We are citing the Mass Change 2s, so just calm down. And then we run 2 copies for the traps, 2 Fire Lake. Still very good, you know, getting rid of problematic cards in the field. And then I do run the Traveler and the Burning Abyss. Now, the Traveler and the Burning Abyss I tested in my competitive build, but it's more relevant in this one because of the fact you can keep your boards. You can keep on spamming back your Malbranch. You can set this at the end phase of your opponent's turn. You can special all your Malbranches from your graveyard that might have got destroyed that turn, similar to how I like to use Gom's Emergency Call in X-Sabers. And so the Traveler and the Burning Abyss in this deck profile, very good. And so into the other cards, we run 2 Phoenix Wing Blast because, again, similar to Monster Reincarnation, you can ditch dead god cards, but you can also use it to gain advantage during your opponent's turn. Then we also run the Ring of Destruction, the very, very phenomenal Crush Card Virus, the Solemn Warning, and the Torrential Tribute. Torrential Tribute, very good. And then, of course, the Vanities and the Bottomless, all relevant. And so we run those for our traps. I'm going to go into the side deck first. Side deck, we run 2 copies of Artifact Lancia. Very good against the Necros matchup. Being able for, you know, your opponent going into Mirror and just being able to resolve Lancia in a chain link, that is, you know, is really hard for Necros to, you know, just get around that. So, 2 copies of the Lancia. Then I run 3 copies of Shared Ride for anything that searches. Then we run the 2 Mass Change 2s for our Dark Law plays. We side this in more against Necros and, you know, a mirror match more than anything else, so, because I don't want this to clog. And so 2 copies of Mass Change 2, and then I run the 1 MST just for anything, you know, maybe Clayforge or something like that. And then I run Book of Eclipse. 2 copies of then I run 2 copies of actually an interesting card, a Prohibition. I haven't seen this card being played as much, but, you know, it's very good. I still think it's very good because of the fact you can just call Scout. Now your Clayfort opponent has 2 Scouts and 3 Summoners Art just to search Scout. And so, you know, Prohibition, I just think it's so good at, you know, calling kind of Hawk. I know it kind of slows you down, but slows your opponents down way more. Being able to call Shaddoll Fusion, just a great card. And if you draw both, you can do Prohibition, MST, Prohibition, you know, whatever you want to get rid of. So there's that. There's the Fairy Winds, and then there's the Stygian Dirge. Sometimes you lock yourself out by putting continuous spell cards on your field, like Prohibition, so you can almost get rid of it with your own Fairy Winds. And of course, Stygian Dirge for anything like the Mirror Match or Tellarknights or something along those lines. People like the Star Seraph cards, which I think are kind of trash, but you know, those are the that's that. And then moving on to the extra deck, we were on the 3 Golden Dantes. They're blinging now in gold. And so, very nice card sleeves there. And there's the Dantes. And then, of course, the 2 Virgils, still the Rockstar. And then the 2 copies of Masked Hero Dark Law for, of course, the Sighted. Mass Change Seconds. The 1 Alucard. The Burn for Damage. Number 47 Nightmare Shark. The number 30 Acid Golem of Destruction. Number 20 Giga Brilliant. Again, very testy. Gear Jagir, Gigant, Cross G. Kind of good. Being able to get through Valkyria's Mirror Forest, Dimensional Prison. Very relevant. And so, then we have Zen Mains, just for problematic cards. Downer Magician. And that's it. So, anyway, guys, that's the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, hopefully this will gather more attention than my previous Egyptian Abyss deck profile did. But again, very cool just being able to have these guys as your boss monsters surrounded by guys like these. And that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say. I will be giving you guys more Burning Abyss deck profiles. I will be giving you guys a Malakota Lock. That's probably going to be coming up sooner rather than later. And then, of course, eventually a Fusion deck profile. I'm waiting for Dante Pilgrim to go down in price, but I'm going to be giving you guys, of course, that as well. And so, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Just a few side notes. You can definitely experiment with something along these lines. You can maybe experiment this in Clayfort. A card that I was thinking of running was Raw's Disciple. I realized after Dante milling it a lot, it wasn't as good, and so I just sticked with the Malebranche lineup. And so that's pretty much it. Again, the deck profiles that will probably come sooner rather than later are the Malakota, Jinlock, Burning Abyss, and of course Noble Knights, and Ritual Beasts, and Ghost Tricks, and eventually Shaddolls. And so, this is Hank Saber from Saber Selections, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button below, become a Saber Select, make my day a little bit better, trying to get those 1,000 subs. We'll see if we ever get there. So anyway, stay golden. Goodbye, guys.